everyone, it's Alice, and as I'm sure you can see by the title, it's that time of year again where it's time to do another book purge. As you may know, I do one of these every spring, and I always do it this time of year because there is a local school nearby that has like a huge flea market once a year, and they like have that flea market to raise money for their music program, which I think is really cool. And it's a good excuse to just do some spring cleaning, get rid of some books I don't want anymore, stuff that I've read that I don't want to keep. I also have a space issue all the time, so it's good for me to just get rid of some stuff, and hopefully these books will make someone else very happy. And yeah, we should probably just get into it and get started. Let's go. Alright, so as usual, we are going to start with this shelf right here. Starting with this stack here, these are actually just some tarot cards, but I see a book here that I think I want to get rid of. These ones I want to keep, but I'm gonna get rid of this one. I tried starting this late last year actually, and I couldn't get into it, and I don't think I'm ever gonna revisit it, so we're gonna get rid of that. These books I'm all gonna keep, and then over here I think I might actually also get rid of this one. This is a book that I have read, and it's a beautiful book. I really like the cover, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'll ever read it again, and so I would only keep it because it's a pretty book. It is really nice though. It's kind of like a dark academia type book. I enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect, but the atmosphere was peak. All of these ones are going to stay, and then down here I'm gonna keep these two books. These are some history books I want to keep. I love all of these books. Won't get rid of this, of course, but I am gonna get rid of this. I actually finally read this book late last year, and maybe controversially, I didn't really like it, so I don't see any point in keeping it. It is a beautiful edition, but yeah, not my favorite. I know a lot of other people love this book though, so maybe don't take my word for it. Then we have some Stephen Fry books, and these books, which are all gonna stay. Moving on, we're gonna do this shelf, which, by the way, over here you can see all of the books that I haven't been able to fit on my shelves, and this stack has like another stack behind it. So that's an issue, but we're gonna do this shelf and see what we can do. Starting at the top here, I actually think I'm going to get rid of this book. This is actually a great book about death. I love reading books about death, and it's really, really good. I just don't think I'm ever gonna read it again, and it's not my favorite death book, but I'm glad I read it. The cover is really lovely, but I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm also actually going to get rid of this book. I've had this book, honestly, for maybe 10 years, and I just never remember that I have it. I know a lot of people love this book, but I just don't think I'm ever going to read it. So we can pass it on to someone else, and maybe they will read it. I'm gonna keep this book, which is a great Norwegian book. These are really good. Obviously gonna keep The Goldfinch and The Secret History. And I think I'm gonna keep all of these. What is this? Oh yeah, I am gonna keep that one. On the next shelf though, we have these lovely fall leaves. I think actually I'm going to get rid of this book because I don't think I'm ever gonna read it. I bought it honestly because it's a book about witches and it looks really cool, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I want to read anymore. I'm gonna keep these ones. This is one of my favorite memoirs. Like, it's amazing. I think everyone should read it. Want to keep Station 11, of course. And then these ones I also want to keep. Usually I don't really take a look at this stack because it just feels kind of exhausting, but I do know one book I actually want to get rid of. It's this one. Just because I've read it, I'm never gonna read it again, and I didn't really like it, so there's no point in keeping it. It doesn't make much of a difference to this stack really, but yeah, gonna get rid of that. And also looking at this, I'm reminded that I need to read this. I'm kind of into, or I'm not kind of into, I want to get into reading letters, and I forgot that I had this, so I should definitely read it. Then on the next shelf, we have this book that I recently read actually, and I really, really enjoyed this. This is a memoir about grief and mushrooms, of all things. I'm actually gonna get rid of this because I want to get the Norwegian edition. I would like to reread this book one day, but I would like to reread it in the original language, which is Norwegian. And I just didn't know about it when I got this book, so I read it in English. But I want to get another edition in Norwegian, so we're going to get rid of that. This is another death book, which I want to keep. I'm going to keep these ones. Should maybe get rid of that, but honestly, it's so pretty. I just want to keep it. I think all of these are going to stay. Maybe I should get rid of this, actually. I got this because I read another book by Peter Swanson that I really liked, but then I got this without looking it up, and apparently it doesn't have great reviews. And I have another book by Peter Swanson, another place on my shelves, and I would rather read that. So this has got to go. My F. Scott Fitzgerald books are going to stay, of course. This is a Norwegian book that I got from a friend that I need to read. And then down here, these are some art books that I am making my way through that I'm really enjoying. This is actually a memory book from a funeral. These books I still want to read. And then we have my Game of Thrones books, which I'm gonna keep. We've made some good progress, but now it's time to tackle the big shelves. Starting at the top here, I don't think we're gonna be able to do much. I have this beautiful edition of Frankenstein. I have this book that I want to read. I have these Rhodes classics that I want to keep. All of these I want to keep. We have these beautiful books. And these ones. I feel like every time I do one of these, I always leave this shelf alone, and it's gonna be the same this time. It's honestly kind of the same thing here. We have some poetry books, some Shakespeare, these short books. We have a series I really like. We have this series, which I really like. Maybe I could get rid of some of these. You know what? For now, I think I'm gonna keep them because I think I might want to read all of these one more time. We have this book, which I love, and then this collection of short stories, which are beautiful, and I'm gonna keep. Then we have my Persephone books, and you know how this goes. These beauties are gonna stay. We have these little classics that are beautiful. These are the little cloth-bound classics. I love these, and I'm gonna keep them. Under that, we have a slightly messier shelf. I don't actually know what this is, if I can get it out. Oh yeah, this is a book in Norwegian. Again, it's a book about death, and I want to keep that. I'm gonna keep these ones. This is a beautiful little book that I'm gonna keep. We have Jane Austen, Anna Karenina, some classics, and then this one I can actually get rid of because it's a book I keep saying I'm gonna read, and I don't think I ever will. So we're just gonna let it go. My Patricia Highsmith books I'm going to keep. I really need to read more of them. I think I've only read 2. These I'm gonna keep. These beautiful editions I'm gonna keep. Still haven't read this book. Will I ever do it? I don't know, but I'm gonna keep it. I think we can do quite a lot on this shelf though. This is also a much messier shelf because it's hidden by the doors usually. I am going to keep this because I want to read it. I'm going to keep this because I want to read it. This is one of my favorite series. But I actually think I'm going to get rid of this book. I've read it, really enjoyed it, never going to read it again. It is beautiful though. I'll keep this one because I still haven't read it and I really want to. This can immediately go. I read it, didn't really like it. It's not necessarily the book's fault, I just don't like this kind of horror. I'm going to keep these 2. And then, of course, Bunny. I think maybe I can get rid of this, though. And this is the other Peter Swanson book that I mentioned. I'm going to keep that. But I think I'm going to get rid of this and this, actually. There's nothing in particular about these books that make me want to get rid of them. I just don't think I'm ever going to get to them, so I don't feel like I need to keep them. Then, what do we have here? This is a Jane Harper book, which I'm going to keep. Gonna keep this because I want to read it. This is a Nordic noir series I really like this series as well. And then my other Jane Harper books, which I am going to keep. Then down here we have a cozy mystery book that I want to read. We have this book, which is excellent. I'm gonna keep Alice in Wonderland, of course, The Appeal. This is a translated book that I really want to read. I'm gonna keep this. I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. This is a cozy mystery. I read it and I enjoyed it. And I think I'm gonna keep going with the series, but it's actually not a series I feel like I really need to keep, although it is very cute. I think I might get rid of this one. And then the same with this actually. Enjoyed it. It's a book about witches. It's very like autumnal and lovely. And it's kind of like a mystery, but I'm never going to read it again, so we're going to get rid of it. This I want to keep, but I think I might get rid of this one. This is a Lisa Jewell book, and I like her books, but I'm never like super into them. I just read them and enjoy them, and then I never think about them again. I feel like this is going to be the same, so I'm going to get rid of it. These ones, I really want to read this. This is a Norwegian book. An Icelandic book. These are all gonna stay. I really need to read this. I forgot I had it. Now that I'm putting some of these books back, I actually think I might get rid of this as well. I don't think I'm interested in it anymore. Then over here, I think I still want to read this. This is a really cool horror book. I've never read A Christmas Carol. I will one day. This I'm gonna keep. This I love. Haven't read. Love this series. Still really need to read this one. I'm gonna keep this, and then these ones I'm also going to keep. Down here is kind of like a mishmash of all kinds of things. I still want to read this book. These I'm just gonna leave alone. Still really want to read this. And then here we have a translated book that I want to read. We have a mystery novel that I want to read. Another mystery novel. I actually don't know if there's anything we can do here. You know what? Actually, in my last book purge, I got rid of the 4th and maybe the 5th book here because I didn't think I wanted to read them anymore, and I don't know if I'll ever reread the whole like series. I might just keep this one and then get rid of these two just because I need the space. Those are gonna go, and then I bet in the next one that one's gonna go. I do think this is a good series, by the way. I don't know. I just stopped reading them after a while because I got kind of bored with them, but I do think the first ones are quite good. But yeah, got some more space there. Let's move on to the next shelf. Starting at the top here, we have some Stephen King books. We have this series. We have this horror book that I read last year, really liked it. One of my favorite trilogies. This witch book, which I want to read. I do think I'm gonna get rid of these though. Last time I cleared out my shelves, I had a bunch of these and I got rid of most of them. And then I wanted to keep these because the covers are beautiful. But since I did that, I haven't even looked at these. So I'm not gonna look at them too close and just get rid of them. This is a book I really want to read. Still want to read this. Really enjoyed this. These are some Christmas books. Then we have these Murakami books, which I'm gonna keep. Want to read this. Really enjoyed this. Love this. On the shelf beneath that, we have all of these classics. I want to keep all of these, my John Wyndham books, these John Boyne books. I really want to read more of these. But the ones I've read by this author so far, I've loved. These I'm just gonna keep because I love them. And these ones as well. On the next shelf here, we have these translated books that I want to keep. These ones I want to keep. I love A Song of Achilles. These red classics, I still really want to read a lot of these, and I have read some. But yeah, we have some poetry, some sonnets, Stoner, which I loved. We have these nonfiction books, still really need to read these. Then we have these ones. I have read some of these, but I actually think I want to get rid of a couple that I haven't read that I've just lost interest in. I have a lot of other nonfiction books that I would rather want to read, like these ones. I think I am going to get rid of this one, and then also maybe this one. I think I might actually still be interested in reading that, so we're gonna keep that. Gonna keep these by Carlo Rovelli. These ones I'm all going to keep. Of course I want to keep this one. This is the edition of The Secret History that I usually reread, and now I have also annotated it. So of course I want to keep it. We're not going to do anything on the shelf beneath that because these are all classics and I want to keep all of them. We can definitely do something here though. I'm actually going to get rid of this book. I had a moment last summer where I tried to get into romance books, and I did kind of, but I bought a bunch and I don't like... Having explored the genre a little bit, I don't think this is the kind of romance that I want to read. And it's the same for this, which I read, really didn't... The more I think about this book, the less I like it. And because of that, I'm also going to get rid of this one because it's the same author. Feels like it has the same vibe. I'm not really into it. These are some nonfiction books that I've read that I want to keep because I think I want to reread them someday. Going to keep these ones. And this one, I really want to read this one. Then in this stack here, I'm going to keep this because it's a memoir that looks really interesting. Again, though, I'm going to get rid of this because I don't think I'm going to like it. And then here, I'm going to keep this one, still really want to read it. I really want to read this one. This is a book in Norwegian that one of my friends read recently and loved. But I do think I'm going to get rid of this one. I got this book because it's about a cult, which I'm always interested in. But I actually tried reading this not too long ago and I wasn't really into it. So I don't think I'm going to like it. So we're going to pass it on. Next to that, we have these books. This is one of my favorite books ever. I love it. Love this one. Love this one. This, though, of all the romance books that I got, I actually still want to read this one because it seems kind of silly and I just think it could be a good time. So I'm going to keep that one. This is a beautiful book that I'm going to keep. And then these ones I'm going to keep. Moving to the next shelf, we have some books I still want to read. Really like this one. Gonna keep this one. This is like super underrated. And I want to keep my Lord of the Rings, of course. I have had this for a really long time. And I still haven't read it, so maybe I should let it go. So just reading the back of this, I'm not super interested, so we're gonna get rid of that. Then I'm gonna keep this, of course. It's one of my favorites. These ones are all gonna stay. Still really need to read this. And then here, looking at this, I think I'm going to keep most of these, but I do think these bottom books, I might get rid of both, actually. This one is a cozy mystery that I just don't think I want to read anymore. And then the other one is a biography about Agatha Christie, which I'm like semi-interested in, but I never pick this over any of the other nonfiction books that I have, so I think I'm just going to let it go. Next to that, we have my Handmaid's Tale books, which I'm going to keep. And then down here, I'm going to keep this because I still want to read it. This is a great book, great book, great book. Going to keep this and this, but I do actually think I'm going to get rid of this book because I just don't think I want to read it. I think this one was recommended to me by a friend, but I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to prioritize this. And then actually, I'm also going to get rid of this Memoirs of a Geisha book. I still haven't read this one though. I really should. But I'm gonna get rid of this one. I really liked this book when I read it like ages ago. But I don't know. I'm never gonna read it again and apparently it's a little controversial, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Next to that, we have a memoir that I really liked that I want to keep. We have this book, which I want to read. We have some like illustrated books, Harry Potter. And then I actually think, maybe controversially, I'm gonna get rid of these books. The thing that is holding me back with these ones is that I know that these are kind of rare editions. Maybe I'll keep like the poetry one. I don't really know, but I read Lolita by this author and I hated it with a passion. And I don't know if I want to read anything else by this author. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep the poems. So starting here, we have some of these books, which I haven't read. Still want to read. We have this, which I love. Want to read this. I think I'm gonna get rid of this book just because I've had it for so long and I don't think I'm ever going to read it. I also... Should I give this another go? I tried reading it and I couldn't really get into it, but I feel like because it's Sally Rooney, I should be able to. I don't know. That's kind of like a maybe. I'm gonna keep that. I am gonna get rid of this because I read it and I didn't really like it. I know a lot of people love it, but I don't know. Felt like this was too long. Wasn't really into it. I really like this author though, but this one just didn't work for me. I'm gonna keep these books. These are like cozy fantasy books that I really like. I'm gonna keep these ones. And then here we have a lot that I want to read. I don't think we're gonna do anything here. And then this, this is a book that I have like kept for so long because of the cover. I have read it. I didn't love it. So this time we are gonna get rid of it. On the next shelf, we have my Franny Fisher books. I'm gonna keep these ones. And then here, I'm not really seeing a lot that I want to get rid of because a lot of these I either still want to read or I haven't read. Ooh, actually, I think I can get rid of these 2 books. So these are middle grade books and they have absolutely beautiful covers, but I read the first one and I enjoyed it. But I have forgotten the entire book, so I feel like if I'm gonna read the second, I would have to reread the first. And I don't really feel like doing that, so I think I'm just gonna let these go. This cover is beautiful though. Like middle grade books, sometimes the covers are just amazing. Like some of these are also amazing, like the covers. I love it. Moving on to the next shelf, we have one of my favorite Ruth Ware books, which I have read, but I'm gonna keep. This is also the book I read by Peter Swanson that I really liked. I'm gonna keep that. These ones I'm gonna keep. I do actually think I'm gonna get rid of this one. This is kind of, I think, like a follow-up to The Miniaturist by this author, which I did like, but I don't know, I've just had this for ages and I don't think I'm ever gonna read it. It has a really cool cover though, because this is like a cutout. But yeah, one of my friends also has this, so if I really want to read it, I can just borrow it from her. Then we have a Banana Yoshimoto book that I'm gonna keep, but I am gonna get rid of my Emily Henry books. Even though I really liked them, I'm never gonna read them again. Obviously, like I've mentioned, I'm not a huge romance reader. I did really enjoy these for what they were, but like I said, I'm never gonna read these again, and I don't feel like I need to have them in my collection, so we can pass them on. I still want to read more books by Emily Henry, I just don't feel like I need to have them. Next to that, we have some more death books that I want to keep. I want to keep these ones. I actually think I'm gonna get rid of this. I've had it for ages. I read it ages ago, really liked it. I'm never gonna read it again. Then we have a Margaret Atwood that I still really want to read. We have my Practical Magic series books. This book, which I want to keep. Another series. All of these I am going to keep. On the next shelf, we have my Agatha Christie books, which again, I never really do anything about these. I'm just gonna keep them. This, I think, is also an Agatha Christie. Yes. We have this Celeste Ng book. Want to keep it. Gonna keep. And these ones I also think we're just gonna keep all of them. Moving on, I think we can do quite a lot here. I don't know what this is. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite memoirs actually, so I want to keep that. I do actually think I want to get rid of this book because I tried reading it and I couldn't really get into it, and I don't see myself trying again. It is a cool cover though. I really want to read this, which I'm gonna keep. These ones I'm gonna keep. I do think I'm gonna get rid of this one. This was actually sent to me, and it's one of those books that seem like semi-intriguing, but I don't think I'm ever gonna prioritize something that is just like kind of interesting. I'm gonna keep the Essex Serpent, which I know not everyone loves, but I really like. This is really good as well. I'm gonna keep this. I think I'm actually gonna get rid of this book. I really liked it. I just don't think I'm ever gonna read it again, and I like Neil Gaiman, but I don't need like a complete set or anything. I'm gonna keep that one though. I am gonna keep this, but I do think it will disappear in a purge in the future. I just want to read a little bit more of the series first. I want to keep these ones. This, I still want to read. Seems like a fun, like, summary type book. Then over here, I'm gonna keep this Hemingway book because my grandfather gave it to me. I do think I'm gonna let this one go though. I read this book years ago, and when I read it, I really liked it. I know not everyone gets on with it, but I thought it was really good. But I don't see myself ever reading it again, and I kind of kept it because I think the cover is really cool, but it just takes up a lot of space, so I think it's time to let it go. I am gonna keep the Grace Keepers and this one, which is amazing. I'm gonna keep this. These 3 books are also books that I've had for ages, and I still haven't read, and I think I still want to. I'm not quite ready to let them go, so we're just gonna leave them. We're almost at the end now. Second to last shelf. We only have these 2 left. Here I have like graphic novels and stuff. I want to keep all of these. These are some illustrated books. I have some that I've read, some that I haven't. Still really want to read this. We have Nettle and Bone, which is one of my favorite books that I've read this year so far. It deserves a better place though, so I should move it. Then we have some nonfiction books that I want to read. And then these two books I'm going to keep because I loved them. But I am actually going to get rid of this one. Now, I am a huge fan of Celeste Ng. She is one of my favorite authors, but there was something about this that I just didn't really get on with, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me, so I think, sadly, I am gonna get rid of it. Then, next to that, we just have, like, a lot of poetry and stuff, and I cull this, like, regularly, and I feel pretty confident that I want to keep all of these, so we're just gonna leave it. On the last shelf, though, we have this, which I want to keep, but these two books are actually by the same author, and I got these because I liked that other book so much, but I don't feel like I'm that interested in reading them anymore. I've tried reading one of them, and I couldn't really get into it, so I think I'm gonna let these go. We have this, which I'm gonna keep. We're gonna keep these ones. I do think I'm gonna get rid of this one though. I just don't really see myself ever reading this, so I am gonna get rid of it. Then we have these books, which I am going to keep. But I actually think I'm gonna get rid of this book. This is a nonfiction book that I have read, really liked, don't think I'm ever gonna revisit it. I'm gonna keep this John Green book. I'm gonna keep these ones. This is like one of those books that I never get around to reading, but I do still really want to. I'm gonna keep these. This is also a book that I still really want to read. This is a Norwegian book that I want to read. Maybe I should get rid of this one, actually. I've had it for ages. We also have some Shakespeare books here that I am going to keep. I think I might get rid of this one just because I don't think I want to read it anymore. It's beautiful, but I don't know. Then here, I'm gonna keep these ones. This is an amazing nonfiction book. And then, as always, I am gonna keep these ones. These are all history books, and I've read these, love them, and I still want to read all of these. I'm pretty happy with this. Like, I had these two boxes, and I've filled up both of them, and I can't even fit all of them in. Technically, I could put them on top, but then the box is too heavy. But I feel like this is a good day's work, and I'm really happy with it. And now I should be able to fit all of the other books on my shelves, so I don't need to have, like, stacks everywhere. I'm also sure these books will make some other readers very happy, which is a very good feeling. Okay, so that was kind of it. I'm gonna go find a box for the last few books, and I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed making these videos, and I always feel really good after having done, like, a big clear out. So, yeah. As always, thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye!